Put on the suit. Let's go a few rounds.
First time it's happened in 30 years.
Hello and welcome to a special episode of Celebrity Versus. Hold on just a second. Now it's an extra special video, marking the release of Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Today we address the bigger issue at hand, DC versus Marvel. Who is the better superhero team?
And here we go.
And with a bang I might add, our first category being history. Not actual comics history, because they're a dead heat in my opinion. I consider DC and Marvel history to be film and television between the 1930s and the 1990s. Both camps had successful television shows during those time frames. The animated Superman series and Adam West's version of the Caped Crusader earned their spots in history. Even though at times they were anticlimactic and quite cliche, let's be honest, they were kids shows. Spiderman. Based on storyline alone, I actually find Spider-Man to be better than either of the aforementioned. And of course you have the animated Fantastic Four. So at this point they would seem tied, right? Well, they would be, until you get to
The Super Friends.
It's one of the best animated shows of its time. And although it's a bit embarrassing to admit, I still love this show to this day. And of course the 70s and 80s brought us Christopher Reeve's marvelous version of the Man of Steel. Even when you take off points for George Clooney starring in this piece of tripe, DC wins the history battle over Marvel. The second category is a bit more straightforward. Who has the better team? I could battle the entire DC crew versus the entire Marvel crew, but that would take more time for comparison than we have allotted for. So I'll debate each side's core 7, the Justice League versus the Avengers. Now it's easy to tip this debate towards the DC side simply because most believe no one can touch Superman. But if we're honest, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor have some of the same basic powers that Superman does, minus the cliche and convenient ones. Now what do I mean by that? No matter the iteration, it always seems that Superman's powers are there to satiate the needs of the plot. Burning building? Use your freeze breath. Want to keep Zod from killing an entire family? Simply use your heat vision to gouge his eyes out. Or your hurricane breath to blow the entire family to safety. Or be all anticlimactic and snap his neck. I guess that works too. And in the conventional sense, the Avengers don't have a well-defined leader. Back on the DC side, I find Wonder Woman to be a better superhero female character than Black Widow. Also, I find Batman's origin story to be more plausible than anyone on the Avengers crew. Except Captain America, because science can do just about anything, and scientists have been conducting genetic experiments on certain people for, well, decades. And there's so much we could debate from these points alone, so I'm going to call this category a tie, and skip to the third, embodiment. Which crew and crew members better embody the idea of superheroes? And for that I have a few clips I want to refer to. This batch of Marvel films has been great, particularly Thor 2, The Dark World. I mean, you have two gorgeous leading ladies, Tom giving a dazzling performance as Loki, Idris Elba, Senator John McCain. I mean, everybody was in this film. But as good as the film was, it wasn't believable. And it's not just this film. With Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, even though it's placed in a modern setting, in a major metropolis, it falls prey to the same thing. Other than the origin story we talked about, I didn't feel any of it could have happened. In contrast, the Dark Knight series was something I walked away from going, yes, that could happen. No interstellar bridges, or gods fighting metal machines, or... which was enjoyable but not realistic. Now I know what everyone's saying. It's a film, it doesn't have to be realistic. But that's not entirely true, because films are supposed to be relatable fiction. The Caped Crusader is something that someone with Koch brothers type money could honestly pull off. And as a whole, DC embodies superheroes a lot better than Marvel does. I mean, take Superman out of this. Green Lantern, depending on the iteration, is either Guy from the Hood overcomes his fears and makes it big, or your average Joe stumbles on something that makes him great. And that feels a lot more superheroish than a god, or two characters, an archer and a trained spy, who are basically not superheroes at all. Now I have to give it to Spider-Man, he's the dark horse. He almost feels at times like he belongs in the DC camp. And the same goes for X-Men. But neither of these guys could tip the scales Marvel's way. Not to mention the fact that DC villains are 10 times better than Marvel villains. But all this is just my take. I want to hear from you fanboys and girls. Who is your pick, and who do you think we should debate next? And with that, I'm off to see Age of Ultron. I'll see you guys next time. Man, I do look like Willie Nelson.